Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Daniel Knowles, coming to you from an altitude of 5,280 feet, where we look forward to seeing you in September on higher ground at Mile High, and where our guest will be in September as well, the one and only Dr. Neil Cohen, who is the Vice President of Sherman College. And as everybody who is a Mile High fan knows, I personally am a fan of both Sherman College and Dr. Neil Cohen. I'm grateful for him being part of the leadership team at Sherman College, and grateful for all his service over the years to chiropractic and to his community in practice in Florida. So thank you for joining us today, Dr. Neil Cohen.
Honored to be here at sea level.
And we look forward to seeing you rise up. By the way, we're recording this today on July 1st, Mile High T-shirt Day. So did you come prepared? Look at that. 2020 vision. Perfect. Well prepared. And see,
leaders are always prepared, Dr. Danny.
Well, I was going to say, leaders, professionals are always prepared. So well done. So before, some people know you because of your position at Sherman, but don't necessarily know you. Let's help people get to know you as a chiropractor. How did you, and as a person, how did you find your way into chiropractic?
It's a great question. I'm very grateful, of course, to God for bringing me into chiropractic, but he used my wife, or Randy, and at the time she was my girlfriend. She was seeing a chiropractor, and I was like, what's this stuff? And she brought me to the chiropractor. I received my first adjustment, and literally I was one of those people where it changed my life. And from that moment on, I knew I wanted to be a chiropractor. I always knew that I wanted to help people, but I wasn't sure which direction I was going to go in. I wanted to be in a field where I was called to be. I just didn't want a job. I wanted a calling. And I was having difficulty finding that until that first adjustment. And then after that, that same day, I rode away to all the chiropractic colleges. You have to remember, this is 1979, 1980. We didn't have any other communication than letters and different things like that. So I rode away to all the colleges to get the information. And lo and behold, I made my decision to become a chiropractor. So I give my wife, Randy, the credit for the legacy that our family has created in chiropractic. Of course, my son, Michael, is a practicing chiropractor in Pompano Beach, Florida. My daughter just sold her first network spinal practice in Greenville, South Carolina, and she's over there with you in Denver right now, having a good time. So what a legacy it's been. And we've had 3 children born at home, of course, unvaccinated. My grandson, Grayson, who will be a year old this week, he was born at home in Canada, unvaccinated. So chiropractic has been so important in my life. That's how it began. And of course, I was in practice for 20 something years. I don't even know at this point, but close to 28 years. So that's my humble beginnings, and I'm so grateful that I've been given that purpose.
I really love when chiropractic is a purpose for them and a life calling. It's really special when a person finds their life calling, and they might find that in engineering, or they might find that being a cook, or they may spend time doing something that's not their life calling, and being a cook could not be their life calling, and being a chiropractor could not be for them. But it's really special when someone finds that, in their life. And I know that's the case for me. And you told me something that was your favorite quote. And I think that fits with what we're talking about. Can you share what that is?
Yeah, well, Mark Twain has this incredible quote, and I use it often. The 2 most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. And it really resonates with me, because when you find out why you were born, when you could tap into the to the supernatural gifts that you've been given by God and the natural gifts you've been given by God, and utilize those gifts and then use it for a good and holy purpose to help humanity, to restore people to their optimum health and their optimum life. This is so cool. And so I always let the prospective students know what this quote is, because as you said, chiropractic is so much more than a career. It's a calling. It's a life purpose. It's a life direction. And when you buy it hook, line, and sinker, like you and I have, and we want to share the message like you and I do, it's an incredible life where you can build upon it, and you're not swayed to and fro by every different form of philosophy and thinking. You understand the philosophy, you live the philosophy. And what's so cool about the chiropractic philosophy is it transcends chiropractic.
Right.
To be a principled individual, you don't necessarily have to be a chiropractor. To do the right thing, as innate intelligence always does the right thing, chiropractic is so valuable. And the education that we've gotten from the philosophy alone has really given us an opportunity to navigate through life in such a productive way.
Yeah. And see, that's a very important point is chiropractic as a philosophy, science, and art. There are life values that are dialed into that and are part of that. And, there's that old phrase, and I know you're going to be familiar with this when I say it, is, are you into chiropractic or is chiropractic in you? Right. So the more it becomes a calling, more chiropractic is in you. So being at Sherman College, tell us some of the things that are going on at Sherman College.
Sherman College is in an incredible season of favor, and we have been, even through this past year of the challenges and the uncertainty that we've gone through as a society. Sherman was really very prepared for that. It was serendipitous. It wasn't like we knew it was coming, but we instituted a learning program with our iPad several years ago.
Right.
That helped us navigate through the distance learning that we were compelled to do based on the constraints from this past year. So we were able to get back on campus very quickly. Sherman, as you know, is a big family. And so we have this opportunity and we have this incredible transparency with all that are there. And because it's a smaller college, we have about 425 students. And by the way, I know when Dr. Cordero got there, we only had about 165 students. So there's been an incredible growth in Sherman College over the last 7, 8, and 9 years. And we're welcoming one of our larger classes in the summer, which begins on Tuesday, and then even a bigger class this fall. So we're very proud of the things that we've instituted in Sherman College. And in addition to the iSherman program, the iPad, we have a G10 program, which promises to help students become completely debt-free from their student loans 10 years after they practice. And the way that's being done is through proven business principles that are being taught in chiropractic college, which I don't know that any other college is really teaching proven business principles. We also have obsessed with student success. We want to create the best chiropractors on the planet. And us being a small school gives us an opportunity to do that. We have an opportunity to have smaller classes. We have a good faculty to student ratio. We have open door policy. So there's a lot of cool things going on. And everybody knows by now that we've added incredible facilities to the campus. We have an event center, which I know you've been a part of, Dr. Danny, as you were on our board of trustees. Thank you for all the years supporting Sherman College. You were there during some of those lean years and watched Sherman grow. under the leadership of Dr. Cordero. We have incredible faculty. We have Dr. Christopher Kent there. We have Bill Deccan and Brian Dooley. And listen, I'm naming names, but every one of the names I could name have been so dedicated and committed and hardworking in the chiropractic profession from the standpoint of wanting to preserve and perpetuate principled chiropractic, which I have to tell you is a very rare thing in institutions these days. So Sherman is in a great place, and I want to thank you and thank those that are listening for the support sending us students. It's we can't do it without the students, so we appreciate that very much.
I don't think you were around at the time that I noticed this when I was part of the board's leadership, and I shared this at a Mile High on stage. But there was this picture, and I think it's very important for people to understand, and I'll try to paint a visual image of it. Was a picture I saw, and it showed institutions, accredited institutions, and the number of students going to them. And I noticed something that was very significant on the chart, and it said like how many good per year are going to Western States, to Life, to Bridgeport, and so on. And it had this chart at this time. This was 12 years ago or something like that. And it said, or a decade ago, and it showed, and I said, wow, this is very interesting. The schools that in my mind were closest to the principal in terms of what they taught had the highest number of students going to them. And I thought to myself, that's so interesting. The 3, 4, 5 schools that you think most likely teach the most real chiropractic, they were the ones that that had the highest enrollment. And I thought, wow, that's so much like a chiropractic practice. The practice that embodies the principle the most tend to have the biggest practices as compared to they dabble in lots of different things. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, and I know that you were mentioning that was several years ago. Unfortunately, some of the landscape has changed. Generationally, and you know this, you've been around long enough to know that some of the ideas that we had years ago don't necessarily work today. We have social media, we have all this amazing communication available to young people. And I know back in the day, and this is still true, many students pick schools based on geographical location. Right. And this is actually a significant mistake. Of course, unless you live in South Carolina, it's a significant mistake, because what happens is we're all about return on investment. Each school, they cost the same. I mean, Sherman is on the lower end. It's a little less because it's in South Carolina, but fundamentally, every school tuition is about the same. You're not going to really save a whole lot of money. You might save more money living in South Carolina than you would in New York or some other expensive area. But at the end of the day, they all cost the same. So why wouldn't you go to the one that would give you the best return on your investment? Unfortunately, prospective students, they see chiropractic college and they think they're all the same. They're not all the same. Right now, about 85% of the graduates graduate from a mechanistic chiropractic college, meaning they're learning about neck pain, back pain, and headaches as the most important thing for chiropractors. And you and I know that the profession was founded on restoring a deaf man's hearing. You and I know that when people get under chiropractic care, and especially for a significant amount of time, it alters their life in a very positive way. So chiropractic is a vitalistic approach, and it always was. But at the end of the day, what these schools have done is they found a way to get students over to their colleges by making them interested in the allopathic model, the medicalization of chiropractic. And when you start to do that, you start to lose the identity of the profession. So if that statistic is correct, and I'm supporting that it is, that means only 15 or 16% of the graduates are coming out of vitalistic institutions. So what I urge the profession to do is, if they have a prospective student, don't allow them to just pick the school that's closest to them. Have them visit that school, check it out. They may or may not like it. That may be the school that they ultimately choose. But they also need to come visit Sherman College. They need to see where chiropractic lives. They need to see where they're going to get the best return on the investment. And one of the best things that I ever heard, and this is, I'm going to give Dr. Cordero the credit for this because I heard it from him. If you could go to your local college or you could go to Harvard and they both cost the same, which would you choose? And that's really ultimately what this equation is. So I believe that the first biggest decision that a prospective student makes is the choice of chiropractic college that they end up matriculating at. And if you do your research, if you do your due diligence, you will see that many of the students that are coming out of mechanistic schools, they're fearful of adjusting. They don't want to use the word subluxation, which I find to be terrible. That's something that is at the heart of chiropractic. We need to let people know that subluxation is profound. It's profound when you have it. It's profound when it's corrected. And this is what we live on. So I think that it's very important to understand that landscape from 12 to 15 years ago, it may have shifted. Yes, Life University is definitely still the largest school, and thank goodness that they still have a vitalistic mindset. Life College West, a vitalistic mindset, and Sherman College, pure, unadulterated, undiminished chiropractic, and we're so proud of that.
Yeah, and that's a very important point, what you say. And one, people do choose things on location. I have to admit this. I grew up in New York. I lived in Greenwich Village immediately before I went to South Carolina. And I thought to myself, all right, I'm going to go to chiropractic school. Could I actually live in South Carolina? I'm a New York City kid.
Exactly.
So, and I was scared of that, to be honest. And I visited and thought, all right, could I, how much of a culture shock is this going to be, right? Or I don't know if South Carolina could handle it. So, but I visited and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I really like this. I can do this for 3-4 years. And then I really fell in love with living there. So I truly, people do, make decisions based on where they live. And it's a very smart decision to visit the school, because I will tell you, it was the life-changing experience for me. Was I went to Lyceum and I heard in one afternoon, Reggie Gold, Tom Gilardi, Arnaud Bernier, and my dad, Donnie Epstein, who wasn't my dad at that time, but was presenting, all of those present, and Joe Donofrio Sr. By the end of that session, I was like, I'm going to chiropractic school.
That was, you heard the 32 Yankees. That was awesome. It's so interesting too, because now that Sherman College has incredible new facilities, we're still at the foothills of the mountains. It's absolutely a great place to live. Spartanburg is growing. It's wonderful, and we have what's known as Showcase Sherman Weekend, where qualified individuals will give them a stipend. We'll actually pay for them to come visit the school for a weekend. We'll put them up in a hotel for 3 nights. We'll feed them. They'll go through leadership training, a palpation class, a philosophy class. They'll meet the faculty. They'll meet the staff. They'll really know if South Carolina, if Sherman College is the right choice for them. And I will tell you this, if you're thinking about it, or if you're a doctor out there listening to this that has a prospective student, please look into our Showcase Sherman Weekend. It's an absolute no-brainer. And frankly, here's how I feel about it. And I'm going to speak for Dr. Cordero as well. If Sherman is the right place for you, great. If it's not, and you want to pick another college, that's cool as well. Whatever your journey leads you to. This is about chiropractic. Sherman is a vehicle to get involved with chiropractic. And how deep do you want to dive into chiropractic? That really becomes the fundamental question that you have to ask yourself. How successful do you want to be as a chiropractor? How successful do you want to be in business? Can you communicate this incredible message that we have? Can you talk about philosophy? Can you teach others not what to think, but how to think? And that's really what Sherman College is all about.
Right. And that's important. You also said a very important thing that I learned from Reggie Gold at some point, which was he talked about how at that point in history, I'm not talking about now, that chiropractic colleges with I was a student actually times, this was really way back. They said, he said chiropractic colleges will control what they teach by their political agenda.
Exactly.
This is what Reggie was talking about. And he said, in educational institutions throughout America, colleges, universities, that are non-chiropractic educational institutions, that you'll see people like you learn how to think, right? And that you go to a higher place of higher learning to get exposed to multiple perspectives.
Mhm.
But he was saying how in the institutions politically, this is the late 80s, early 90s, that they're not exposing people to thought, and sadly, they're not exposing them to chiropractic principles and the thought process of the chiropractic principles, so they can take it in and determine if this aligns with their values and their calling as a healthcare provider. And I'm so grateful that Sherman College is doing that. That's teaching people how to think as a chiropractor, and to be able to take that in as compared to not even get exposed to it.
Amen. Amen. And you know this because you've been there and you've seen this. We have the 33 principles on the halls of Sherman College. So when those students walk through the halls every day, it's a visual reminder of the foundation of chiropractic. And if you move the foundation of any building, what's going to happen? It's going to crumble. And the unfortunate thing is these 33 principles, they've been lost. They don't discuss them anymore. Things are moving in a different direction, but those 33 principles are the fundamental foundation for why we do what we do. And it's so important that we are understanding and in agreement with those so we can help a sick and dying world.
I got to ask you this. Is that still something people I know people can donate towards a principle. Is that still something people can do?
Absolutely. There's actually just a couple of them left. Which
ones? Do you know?
You have to go to I'd have to go to the website to tell you. But I could tell you it's not number 6 because that one went right away. That's the one everybody knows, right? But there definitely are some available, and you can have your name in posterity at Sherman College forever. I know the Cohen family does, and I know you do as well. So we're happy to put your name on a principle. So check that out on sherman.edu/donate.
Yeah, I want to know which ones are left. So we'll have to put that out because I'd love to know. So let me ask you this. You've been to Mile High several times. You're going to be speaking at Mile High this year. And so 2 questions about Mile High. First of all, what do you love about Mile High? You've been there how many times? 2, 3 times?
I have been there every year since I started Sherman College. So this will probably be my 7th or 8th Mile High in a row. I don't miss Mile High. And I'm going to tell you why I don't miss Mile High. First of all, it's where the principal is. I'm sorry, I got to give Dr. Rochelle some credit here too. You guys are
Please
amazing.
do.
You're
Give her
amazing.
more credit than me, please.
You guys, not you. You guys put your heart and your soul into this every year. And Danny, I know you work really, really hard. You do a lot behind the scenes. And what you do every year is you get the best speakers that are available. I know that you do. And I'm not even sure why you picked me, but you get the best speakers that are available. And because you do that, the fellowship that surrounds the principal becomes so wonderful. It's really just, it becomes a family. I have met so many cool people as a result of going to Mile High that I never would have met. Because prior to me being at Sherman College, I had the events that I went to, and they're great. They were great events. D's a great event. New Beginnings is a great event. But when you go to Mile High, you're out there in Colorado, you're getting a different crowd. I mean, I've become like super tight with Joe Arve. I love Joe Arve. He's become
amazing.
like, I love this guy. I mean, we have a meal when I go to Colorado. I've become much closer to your mom and to Donnie. And, my daughter's involved with Network Spinal. It's really opened my eyes. Last year, you had some incredible speakers there. You had Nona, and you had I've lost his name now, but the guy from California with the beautiful family. They're all so cute.
Joe Merlo.
Joe Merlo. I mean, he was awesome. I mean, you have Tamara, and you have
Mo.
and you have Mo. I mean, come on, you're getting the best of the best. You even have Dooley there. I know you throw Dooley in, but Dooley's awesome. He's amazing.
Julie's amazing. She's the best CA trainer. I gotta say, she is the best CA trainer. Granted, I have what's it called? I'm biased, but here's the deal. Julie, she managed to coordinate Mile High and our office through the instability of me having heart surgery, me having to leave the office, having a stroke, and through COVID and having a baby. That takes incredible talent and organization as a CA.
I noticed too, your team is amazing. And the word that comes to mind when I go to Mile High for your team is commitment. They're all so committed, and they're really into it. Some people, it's a job. It's not a job for them. They're totally into it, and it warms my heart because when commitment is one of my core values. That's why I'm here today. We were supposed to do this yesterday, and we couldn't do it yesterday. We had some challenges, but we're here today. I'm committed. I'm committed to chiropractic. I'm committed to Sherman College. You're committed to Mile High. Your team is committed to Mile High. You and Dr. Rochelle are committed to Sherman College. Dr. Rochelle is on our board of trustees now, following your years on our board of trustees. So when I see the commitment of your team, it just blows my mind. I love it. And that's the reason I come to Mile High. The speakers, the fellowship, the commitment, the content is absolutely incredible. I mean, this is stuff you can use when you get back home. But there's so much passion in the speakers at Mile High. You're going to see passion this year that you haven't seen before. Everybody last year that spoke was passionate. And I can't wait for September to be back in Westminster, Colorado.
Well, we look forward to having you there. And so now here's the part 2 question. Okay. And I'm really glad you give the rave feedback. Rochelle and I do put our heart and soul into it. And honestly, we don't need to do this by any means, but we do it. The thought process was this: East Coast was known for chiropractic, DE and New Beginnings holding that down in those parts of the country. And then in California, CalJam and the Wave. But I was like, well, what about the center of the country? Like, this was where chiropractic was birthed, was the center of country. Iowa, Wisconsin, where Gonstead was, and Toughness. And,
Right.
right. It was, and I was like, well, wait a second. It can't become that that this area is not where people think of the principal. So that was the thought process. Now, this year, as you know, we're focusing on the art of chiropractic. We said, you know what? We're going to make this event about the art, because that's not something that generally is focused on. Now, I'm so grateful to have you there and Sherman College there talking about the art. Can you say something on this podcast for our listeners about how Sherman sees or teaches the art?
Well, Sherman has what has been known for a long time as the Sherman Package. And Sherman's package involves several different techniques. And let's get a couple things straight, because I get this question a lot about Sherman College. Sherman College used to be very, very focused. They used to be very, very singularly focused on upper cervical. Now, I want you to know that Sherman still believes that upper cervical care is important, just like a lot of practitioners do. But they have definitely spread their technical experience out to the students with the Sherman package, with all the different clubs that are there. So not only do we teach a comprehensive technical program at Sherman College, but the clubs that we have allow students the access to all the different techniques that chiropractic has to offer. And here's what we know about techniques, and this is just my take on it. It's kind of like music. Not everybody's jam is opera. Not everybody's jam is jazz. Not everybody's jam is heavy metal. But some like heavy metal, some like opera, some like jazz. And that's what techniques are. Techniques is how you express who you are. And I've heard this quote. I think Hugo Gibson did this quote. It's your chiropractic signature. How you adjust is your chiropractic signature. So what signature are you going to leave? And so Sherman wants people to find out who they are. We don't want to put you in a box and say you've got to practice this way. It's your life, it's your journey. Find out what you resonate with, so you can be the best version of yourself as a chiropractor, and then you can express yourself as a chiropractor and help others to express themselves as well.
I love that. I love that. I love that quote from Hugo Gibson. And I'll say something about, as a Sherman graduate, as an alumni, the Sherman package. Sherman is known for the principle. My experience, the clinical experience at that time, okay, can I only speak of my experience as a student? At that time, what the instructors brought into us that I still hold as like the center point of how you analyze the spine is pattern. Is the system dynamic or is the system static? That was a center point, that the person, not just about upper cervical, but that you're looking at the person's body and analyzing the spine, and there's an analysis of how to apply a force, and you are thinking, is the person's pattern stuck in a ill pattern, or are they dynamic, and are they moving towards being more dynamic? And that is not taught at other institutions, or many other institutions, and it's a focus of how I practice now. In my particular signature, as Hugo Gibson said.
Awesome. Yeah, it's truly amazing. And one of the things that I think is important to let the folks know is that the graduates of Sherman College are very much sought after. Why are they sought after? Because they become philosophically sound and they become technically sound. And the science is the science. Now, not to disparage it or discredit it or to attenuate it, because I think the science, art, and philosophy are co-equal. I think they're co-glorious, and I think they're co-important. But at the end of the day, the application of the science is so much more for the boards than it is anything else. You have to be a good communicator. You have to be a good adjuster. You've got to be able to deliver the goods, and you've got to understand the philosophy to the point where, and you started off by saying this, where it's in you. Are you in chiropractic, or is chiropractic in you? And that is very, very important. And Sherman College is really developing incredible chiropractors. Part of what I do for the college is I go visit offices all over the country, previously all over the world, and we are seeing the fruit of the education of Sherman College.
Yeah, and that's important because, and this is maybe the last question I'll ask. That's important for the future of chiropractic. The future of chiropractic, Neil, is not in you, I'm sorry to say, and it's not in me. We may have an influence on it, but it's not in us. It has to do with the students that are going in now. So why is Sherman College interested in the future of the profession?
Well, we take very seriously the guarding of the sacred trust. And when I say we, Sherman, Tom Gilardi was a stalwart anchor for principle. He understood the importance of chiropractic alone. And we have taken that baton, and we want to ensure that our children and our children's children receive the correct messaging so they can make changes in other people's lives as chiropractors, as chiropractic advocates. Because if you carry this message in your heart, you can literally save a life. You don't have to be a chiropractor to save a life. People are walking around with subluxation, and they've never heard the word, they don't know it exists. So for Sherman College, it's important to ground our students, not only ground them so they can pass the boards, but ground them in the philosophy, ground them in the communication, ground them in the technical expertise to be able to deliver an adjustment. And if you start to move away from those things, even just a little bit, then you get something that sort of looks like chiropractic. And one of the laws of identity is something is what it is. I mean, you're Danny, I'm Neil. I can't be Danny, you can't be Neil. Chiropractic has to be chiropractic. And, unfortunately, identity is a huge issue in chiropractic. And we've sacrificed our identity for acceptance. And I don't necessarily agree with that. We have to be who we are. You still have to be who you are. I still have to be who I am. There are some people that are not going to accept you, and there are some people that are going to accept you. And so Sherman College has said, hey, listen, we have taken this so serious that we want to ensure the future of this profession. We're yet to see what will happen. There's a tremendous assault on our profession. As I already said, we have a lot of students that are going to schools that are giving them less than what they need as far as their return on their investment. And of course, I'm not going to mention any names, but I will say this, it's an important decision, and Sherman has taken the guarding of the sacred trust extremely seriously. We have a responsibility. And as I said, it's not about Sherman, it's about chiropractic. Sherman's the vehicle that can get people understanding chiropractic and getting chiropractic.
It's very important because when you realize this, and I hope people can take away from this and from your presentation at Mile High, where you send people to school has a big impact on the future of the profession. You've got to think, if 70, 80, there's some high percentage, it's more than 50% of graduates are coming from a musculoskeletal training. I can say this, I don't know if it'd be a good thing for you to say, Neil, but I can say whatever I want. But basically coming from a glorified physical therapy training, and then they go into your town and have a different chiropractic message that impacts the future of chiropractic. So you have to think very carefully where you choose to go to chiropractic school, and also where it is that you advise people to go, and go on a limb and say, hey, take the time to go visit an institution that actually delivers chiropractic training like Sherman College.
Absolutely. And I'll just add one more thing to that, because you got my mind going when you said that. We have to look at the next 25 years.
Right.
What does 25 years look like? If only 15% of our graduates truly understand the vitalistic message of chiropractic, if only 15% of our graduates really represent historical chiropractic. When I say historical, I'm talking about what allowed or what caused Harvey Lillard to hear. If we only have 15%, what happens in 25 years? I mean, Danny, I know in 25 years, I'm going to be 88 years old, 93 years old. You're going to be, you'll only be 45 or so, but we're not going to be around. These dinosaurs are not going to be around any longer. So what do? We've lost so many leaders in chiropractic. We've got to set the next generation up. We've got to set them up for success. And I know Sherman College is doing that.
And that's vital and very well said, and super appreciated that you're sharing that. So again, thank you for your service and Dr. Cordero's service to not only to Sherman College, but also to the profession. And also thank you for sharing with us at Mile High this coming year, and for taking the time to be on this podcast. And we really appreciate you, putting your energy towards guarding it better, as I say. So we need to do that as a profession and have our eye on the, how will the public perceive and experience and receive chiropractic when they when they interact with the chiropractor in 25 years from now, most certainly. So I really appreciate that. And we look forward to seeing you at Mile High. Thank you all. If you're listening to this and you enjoy the Mile High podcast, make sure you hit subscribe, whatever channel you are listening to this on. And make sure, if you have not dialed up registering for Mile High, what are you waiting for? No one likes a procrastinator. So rise up to Mile High. Just go to milehighchiro.org and bring your team, so your team can be lifted up as well. It's going to be a phenomenal program and event, and we look forward to being in community and connection with you, all of you. We look forward to seeing you there, Dr. Neal, and keep changing spines, lives, and minds with chiropractic.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you guys.